My bad. I didn't mean to play the intro. Why y'all ain't tell me I didn't come down here and give y'all this last episode of Reasonable Doubt? Baby, I had to come down here and give y'all episode 9 so I can hurry up and watch episode 10 so I know who did it, honey. Anyway, let's get into the things of the things. So this is Reasonable Doubt, season 3, episode 9. Look, Jax is starting to have doubts about whether Ozzy actually committed this crime or not because Ozzy mama called her at the end of last episode and was like, I think I overlooked some things. I think Ozzy might have done it. So now Jax is like, what the heck? Like, what is everybody saying that I'm not seeing? Like, what am I overlooking? And then Ozzy on his side, he didn't call the scripper back, the scripper that he was messing with. And then Monica slid into the room and then he threw the scripper out. But he didn't call her back and apologize. He was like, I've been going through a lot lately. I've been going through so much. Anyway, so that's how the episode starts off. Jax asks her husband, help me forget about everything. So you know what they do. You know how he helped her forget. And then Ozzy was with the scripper. Okay. Now, Jax thinks that Ozzy should testify. Of course, Bill doesn't agree with it. And Bill feels like, look, I think that this is a risk. I don't think this is something we need to do. And Jax is like, listen, it is a risk, but I feel like we need to do it. Like, I feel like this is what we need to do to help Ozzy. And so her and Bill and Crystal, they debate the pros and the cons of Ozzy testifying. But ultimately, Jax decided that she's going to get him ready to testify. So they start prepping him. And honestly, it don't look like he is ready to testify. Like I kind of have to agree with Bill on this one, Jax. I didn't think that it was necessarily the best idea. First of all, Ozzy is so unpredictable. And like he said, I don't even remember what happened that night. Like I was so high, I just don't remember what I did or didn't do. And now that he's starting to have his own, he's starting to question himself about whether he did it or not. That's even more of a red flag. Oh my goodness, not a good idea. But Jax is confident because she feels like, look, this is what we need to do to win, and I will get him ready. Like, if I have to prep him until 5 minutes before I put him on the stand, I'm going to get him ready to testify. Like, we're going to make it happen, okay? Now, while this is going on, Jackson peeped that Bill is starting to get a little cozy with the partners. She peeped him talking to the partners, but she kind of put it in her back pocket because she was like, we're trying to win this case. I got other stuff that I need to kind of focus on, okay? Now, Lewis, I don't know where they're going with this storyline between you and this protege of yours. Again, we know that Reasonable Doubt has been renewed for season 4, so I'm always thinking about what the next case is going to be. I mean, is this going to be some sort of like discrimination case, some job discrimination? I don't know what's going to happen, but I'm really side on this. So now they didn't end up firing the guy. But now he's still like half doing his work. And he done gave Lewis this little sob story about his girlfriend being pregnant. And that's why he been so distracted. But he really going to be on top of it now. And he not going to mess up this time. Lewis, your boss already warned you and let you know that everybody ain't meant to be a manager. Like, you're a good employee, but maybe you're not good at leading people. And by you sitting here letting this boy play in your face, I feel like maybe your boss was right and maybe you're not ready. Because, sir, he's supposed to be fired. But anyway, moving right along. Jax is still working with Ozzy, trying to get him ready to testify. And again, Ozzy does not remember anything. Oh, let me put a pin in that. Let me rewind. We also start off with this flashback with Ozzy as a kid with his mom. They at the vet, and the dog the dog was poisoned. His dog, old dog, was poisoned by chocolate. Now they were able to save the dog's life. The dog, he survived. He didn't die of the poisoning. However, the vet had a conversation with Ozzy's mom and basically said, "Oh, well, I think that, I'm a little concerned, because the dog, like, this wasn't accidental. This was done on purpose. And generally speaking, when something like this happens, it happens by the person that loves them the most." So he was basically trying to say Ozzy tried to kill his dog. And then, of course, he was trying to link that to, possibly link that to, serial killers type stuff, right? So Ozzy overheard the conversation, even though his mother never said anything to him about it. Ozzy overheard the conversation. And Ozzy, for the rest of his life, basically knew that his mother believed that maybe he had tried to kill his dog. So then we get another flashback with Ozzy. He's a little bit older. Shout out to Tyrell from Beyond the Gates. But Ozzy is a little bit older, and he's on set, and he's kind of like he's kind of acting out, being a little spoiled kid or whatever. Now Monica, well, I shouldn't say that. Let me rewind. He wasn't really being a spoiled kid. But Monica is coming. We see a flashback of Monica coming on to him. And mind you, he's like, 14, 15 years old. And he tells Monica, I don't want to do that anymore. I told you, like, I want you to, like, I thank you for everything you do for me as my manager, but I don't want to do that anymore. And then you see how Monica was manipulating him because she said, oh, my bad. I didn't know you were gay. I mean, that's okay. So because he don't want to sleep with you, he got to be gay. But again, it's that manipulation, and he is still a child. So Monica, so of course he gets a hard on because she's coming on to him. So she ends up leaving, but then he's trying to, relieve himself. And one of the PAs walks in on him. So he kind of goes off on the PA and actually ends up throwing one of his awards at the PA. And what we found out is that his mother was able to smooth it over with with the studio, but he was diagnosed with oppositional defiance. But it was never really treated. That's when they started giving him drugs. They just started giving him pills, and he already told us how that started and then how it progressed throughout his life. And so what we're realizing, and so Jax goes to, her therapist friend, and she says, look, if this is what he was diagnosed with, but it was never really treated, then this could be the reason why he's had these outbursts and why, we know, again, of course, the drugs and things like that. And so she's able to actually get her to testify at the trial and speak to the fact that Ozzy was diagnosed with this, but she did an okay job with it. I mean, she was able to say, listen, that doesn't mean that, he did this. That means that, because it was untreated, it led to him some of the other outbursts that we've seen, like in the video where he argued with Monica and things like that. Now, while this is happening, Lewis is leaving work, and Jax's half sister, Chelsea, I believe her name is, she done rolled up on Lewis to tell Lewis, look, keep Eddie away from Jax. Like, and then she went on to let us know, look, Eddie was with my mom until she died a couple of years ago. And Eddie is just not a good person. Eddie is not a good guy, and Eddie is not a good person. And he was like, well, look, I mean, you preaching to the choir, but what you want me to do about it? She was like, I don't know what you're going to do about it, but I'm just telling you, he means her no good. Like, he's a hustler, and he really means her no good. And then she even alludes to the fact that Eddie might not be clean. And then he was like, well, why do you call him Eddie? Why don't you call him Dad? And she was like, because a mother effer like Eddie is why would I call him Dad? Like, he's a mother effer, and he Eddie. That's who he is. He Eddie. So while this is going on, Daniel is still investigating, and he ends up actually getting a letter from the sister, basically saying, I'm a bad person. Don't look for me. I'm so sorry that, that this had to happen. And so, of course, Daniel was like, wait, what? I kind of skipped some stuff, but we're going to get to her to the end. Actually, I didn't. This episode went really fast. So now he's kind of like, well, what's going on? What's going on? Now, while this is happening, Jax actually has an epiphany while her and Bill are still trying to work out, this testimony for Ozzy. And she actually has an epiphany and realizes, wait a minute. What we need to do is we need to let the jury know just how inept Ozzy actually is. Like, how helpless is he? Like Ozzy kept saying, why would I unalive the one person who had my back, the one person who looked out for me? And she was like, when we needed him to look up his streaming passwords, he didn't even know his own passwords to get into his own streaming accounts. And so Bill was like, so what's the big deal? She was like, so we need to basically let the jury know how dumb he is. And Bill was like, I don't think he's gonna like that. She was like, he don't have to like it, but she was like, he can forgive me, but he'll forgive me from outside of the walls instead of inside of the walls. Like, he ain't got to tell me nothing. So then Jax actually confronts, that's when she really realizes what's going on with Bill and the partners. So she actually ends up confronting them and says, whoa, what the hell? What's all of this? Like, at the end of the day, you've really been working with the partners behind my back. And so she ends up going off on him and lets him know, look, at the end of the day, I need you to know I am the HBIC around here. And they don't have to like it, but they're going to respect it. And you're going to respect it. Like, I didn't like, because he made a slip and was like, Jax, you don't care about winning this case, but I need to win this case to make partner. She was like, wait a minute. So who told you was going to make partner if we won this case? And then she was like, oh, okay. Now, she still don't know about the merger, but she definitely knows that it was no accident that Bill ended up working with her. Now, what we also find out is that Bill, soon to be ex-wife, is taking him or trying to take him for everything he has, which I find to be interesting. I mean, both of y'all are attorneys, but y'all do have 3 kids, and she does have the bulk of the responsibility. So I don't know if she's trying to like take you for everything, or she's just trying to, make sure that she's covered and taken care of. Okay. But Jackson lets Bill know, listen, at the end of the day, us winning this case is not necessarily gonna make or break you making partner. And whoever told you that, they should have never said it. They should have never said it. Okay. Then they actually put Ozzy on the stand. And at first, he was him and Han a little bit, but Jax was able to do what she said she wanted to do. She was able to basically point out the fact that, listen, this is yes, a grown man, but a grown man with arrested development who had a family who basically used him as a commodity his whole life and sacrificed his childhood and his innocence for their monetary gain. She said, look, she said, so Wendy was tied up with rope. Where would you go to get rope? He was like, the rope store? Like, and he was dead serious. Like, I don't know, where do you buy rope from? And she was like, so if you wanted to do X, Y, and Z, how would you do it? And he was like, I don't know. I would call somebody. So she's really doing a good job of showing that he is not, whether he had the ability or even the mindset to want to do it, he didn't necessarily have the mental capacity to commit this crime on the level that it was committed. And so the DA gets up, and now the DA gets up and he's like, okay, well, so you said the night of the crime, you were high. And he was like, yeah. And he was like, so you're trying to tell us that you were so high that you couldn't drive, but Alex was driving. He was like, yeah. He was like, so how many times have you, because the fact that he didn't even buy the cabin, and he'd only been to the cabin one time. Same thing with the weapon. The weapon, he said that his mother told him he should buy the weapon, and he had only fired it one time, and the weapon stayed at the cabin, and he didn't even go down to the cabin. So then the DA was like, okay, fine. Then explain to me, so you mean to tell me that you couldn't tell Alex how to get to the cabin? And he was like, no. And he was like, what do you mean? You don't know? He was like, I don't know how to get there. I don't know the address. I don't know how to get there. And it got to the point where even the DA had to be like, damn. Like even the DA had to kind of just be like, well, damn. So during all of this, we find out that the mama and the sister did not show up at court to test for Ozzy's testimony. And Ozzy ends up having another flashback that shows his mother basically making him take his pills and saying, look, the studio's coming to visit, so we need you to be extra. She made him take an extra dose so he would be, extra ready for the studio to come to visit. And while after he testified, his mom is going through some of his old things, and she actually finds the dog collar and a letter to the dog that Ozzy wrote, basically talking about how much he loved the dog, how much he missed the dog. And basically that the dog was his only friend. So the mother realized, you know what? all these years, I thought Ozzy actually did what the doctor said he did. Like all these years, I thought that my son was one step away from being a serial killer. But now I realize not so much. And at this moment is when I realized, well, actually, I'm gonna rewind to the beginning of the episode. When they first showed the flashback of the dog being poisoned, I knew it wasn't Ozzy. I knew it was the sister then. So Daniel actually figures out that the sister is at the cabin. So Daniel drives down to the cabin to, get the sister. And the sister is holding the weapon in her lap, talking about, and now she's confessing to Daniel, he loved that dog. He loved that dog more than he even loved me. I've always lived in Ozzy's shadow. And so Daniel was like, look, put the weapon down. Let me, come with me. Let me help you. And so that's pretty much so then the episode, we see Daniel taking the sister out, and she's like, you got to go talk to Jax. You got to talk to Jax. Well, before he can get back to talk to Jax with the sister, the jury is back. And that is the end of the episode. So, baby, I'm about to go run over here and watch episode 10 so I can see how this all ends. And we'll be back as soon as I finish. Talk to y'all later. Peace.